I want to say hello because we got people writing in on Periscope, which we don't often have, but with this new platform. And so somebody named Sensory Autistic has written in on Periscope and wants to know if we remember them. But because you're under a code name, I don't know who you are. So write in and tell us who you are, and then I'll see if probably I do remember you, but I don't remember that code name. Go ahead, Bonnie.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about stay put and how long it can continue. And then the question is, what is meant by current educational placement? As used in the stay put provision, the word current generally means the placement and services that are in effect when the parents file their due process complaint. In most instances, these services will be found in the student's most recently implemented IEP. So, it's as we discussed, it's got to be written into the IEP. Now, there are some exceptions to stay put, and there are logical exceptions. One is if if a school closes, like if you're in a non-public school and the school closes, you cannot invoke stay put because your placement doesn't exist anymore. In California, we have a very liberal construction of what placement means. So it means location, facilities, and personnel. So when you try to change somebody's stay put in California, you're pretty well protected against losing your placement. One of the interesting things too, and I think the law's unsettled, is if you invoke stay put in first grade, does that mean you continue in the same classroom in the first grade, receiving the first grade curriculum, or do you move up in your stay put to the second grade curriculum when school resumes? So in every case, there's going to be a varying degree of question as to what the stay put is. And sometimes you get into language issues where you're actually having to litigate what the stay put is, whether it's in an IEP or a settlement agreement. I read.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and say an example when my son was in, was it fifth? It was fifth grade.
Yeah.
We had it written into his IEP that because there was a very set number of classrooms to go in fifth grade, and there was one class that was a fifth grade, sixth grade blend. And we had it written into the IEP that he would go into a fifth and sixth grade blend because though we wanted him with that group of kids, with that teacher, and I was amazed that we got it written in because I know that's a hard thing, but we got it written in during the summer. The principal changed. Principal came, took one look at that and said, I don't want that, and dismantled the fifth, sixth grade class so that there was no more fifth, and I couldn't do a stay put because it no longer existed.
Well, right. If the class no longer exists, you're not going to be able to have a stay put. If you're coming from another district and you have an IEP, for the first 30 days, the district's supposed to implement your IEP. Then you have a meeting and the district offers FAPE based on its own evaluations and or review of records, and they may offer you something different. And if you disagree with that and you don't like it, then you can invoke stay put in that circumstance. And I think we're going to have the potential for using stay put when we get into these like distance learning plan analyses situations. That's part of the reason I'm talking about it now.
Okay.
Interestingly, apparently, even though 504 doesn't have its own explicit stay put provision, the Office of Civil Rights has said that Section 504 has an implicit stay put component. I don't know what it is, but apparently it has an implicit stay put component. OCR has taken the position that a fair due process system, which we do have for 504, would encompass a district waiting for the results of due process before making the change. Then there's also kiddos that are transitioning from under 3 services to over 3 services, and the law has been that you don't get stay put of those services. But we did have the federal government saying that currently, if somebody's in Part C and the district won't evaluate and offer them an IEP, that those Part C services might continue. So that's a little COVID development that maybe wasn't anticipated. You also have rights, I'm not going to get into it, but rights as to stay put if your child is a subject of disciplinary proceedings, which often involve a district trying to change a kid's placement. And there's even the possibility of stay put for a private school. And this is how that works. Let's say you place your child at Shannon Penrod's amazing private school academy for geniuses. And
Woohoo!
you get into a hearing about the appropriateness of that placement, and you've been paying for it all along. If the hearing officer orders reimbursement of that placement, that becomes a stay put placement. So that is kind of a cool thing, that you can actually get a stay put of a private school in certain circumstances. And finally, just sort of bringing this around to the end of all of this, stay put comes in at graduation, because graduation is a change of placement. And if you have a student that needs to remain in school for longer than the district does, you must prevent graduation, because once your student graduates public school with a high school diploma, that's it. And there's no stay put of the placement unless you file before graduation. So just a couple little nuances about that. California used to have a high school exit exam and you had to pass it to graduate. They got rid of that. So now basically everybody graduates, in my opinion. Everybody is graduated. The standard for graduation, if you're on a regular diploma, is you're supposed to meet the state course of study as sort of interpreted by your district. And, if you meet those graduation requirements, you're out. That's it. And what we're seeing a lot of is kids that are reading on a second or third grade level and are no way ready to assume, individual responsibility for their own transition goals and their own life post-graduation, and they're being spat out and graduated. If you have a student that you think is in that category, you should be actively making a plan now to
Oops, she's frozen on my screen. Well, hopefully we'll get Bonnie back. We were doing so well on the new platform, but we've lost her. I also want to say, too, so that you guys know, on my crawl for the comments, it's great because I'm getting them in real time, but when a bunch of you write in at the same time, it fills the screen and pushes them to the bottom, and I haven't figured out how to get back up. I've clicked just about everything, Traven, and I can't see other than the ones that are right there. Like I've tried to eliminate ones. I can't, nothing, it won't let me do that. But hopefully we'll be able to get Bonnie back. Hopefully she'll unfreeze and we'll be able to get her back to hear more about stay put. While we're waiting to see if that happens, does anybody have any questions about the stay put or why? And now I'm breaking up a little bit. What's going on? There she is.
I don't know, my computer, it didn't like that. It didn't like what this table I had it on. But just so that we don't lose the thread here.
Yeah.
There's a different way. If you are on diploma track to graduate, you will be out by the end of 12th grade. If you are on diploma track to graduate, but you can establish that you really have not met all your IEP goals and you haven't really met all of the state standards, because how could you pass X, Y, or Z class if you're only reading on a second grade level? It would be possible, rather than to put you on a certificate of completion, to extend the date for graduation. So you might graduate as a 13th grader or a 14th grader with a high school diploma. Otherwise, you're going to be working toward a certificate of completion based on a modified curriculum, and you will be entitled to receive IDEA services until your 22nd birthday.
Let me ask you something for people right now on this bubble with COVID. If you've got a 12th grader and you don't feel like your child is ready to graduate and ready to go on to something else, normally it's sort of like a thing where, like you said, you got to do the stay put. But especially because of COVID, you could ask for that extra year, correct? And would that just be a stay put, or would that be something?
Well, I don't know if it would be stay put or if it would be a challenge to graduation based on not having achieved enough to be ready to begin, working on your transition goals. I mean, I think this is common, and I think the first step is you got to take it back to the IEP team and share with them your evidence about why the student isn't ready to graduate, and see what kind of pushback you get, and you go from there. I have a student like this right now, and he is good, but he only got there a year ago. And
You're breaking up for some reason, Bonnie.
How about now?
Now I got you. Yeah. So you were saying about the student.
The point is, if your student is reading on a second or third grade level, he or she is not really ready to graduate with a high school diploma, and that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
Once if he graduates, he's out. That's it. No remedy.
Yeah. There's no going back. And then you've got to look for other programs to fill the student's day, or other schools to send them to, where if they don't graduate, they're still eligible for services from the school district.
Correct.
So it's an important consideration for folks. So there we go.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.